off. Thank you for joining us for this presentation of item status reporting with some particular attention to the new velocity source that we introduced on the last maintenance update. To talk about inventory status, let's just go and dive right into the inventory status report. So we've kind of created a new report. If we go to reports, and we created a kind of a standard report called inventory status by location with velocity. So let's just go ahead and using our normal methodology, and we're going just to filter this down, and I'm just going to want to take a look at one of my locations. So I'm going to filter by location ID, and when I filter by location ID, I get the drop down of all the locations. Another way a lot of people do that is they kind of go right into location, put in the name of the location and type in HQ. That's also fine as well. That works. But the better way of doing that, especially if you want to pick multiple locations, is to go to the actual source, pick location ID, which is called an entity ref, meaning that it's a reference from another table, and then we get kind of all the other tables here, and I can, if I hold down the control button as I'm picking, I can control multiple ones. I can also have all these other options, whether it's null. Null means it's empty or not null. Okay. Whether it's in means that it's in one of these. Not in means it's not in one of those. Okay. So we'll just go ahead and say that we want it in HQ. All right. So now we're only viewing HQ, and not only are we only viewing HQ, all this data, including this last column, which is new, called the last 26 weeks. And then you have the basic concepts of the inventory status, and the inventory status has a lot of different information. Let's just take a look at some of the things that you can get from the inventory status. Right now I have available, so there's a certain definition to that. I have required, and required is open approved sales orders. Those are the quantity on open approved sales orders, and if you're a manufacturer, work order components that have not been consumed, basically, that are required. And then on order are purchase orders, open purchase orders, or open work orders. Okay, so by doing that, you get it pretty good. Now, there's a lot of other things on here that you can look. There is the deficiency. So deficiency is available plus on order minus required. Available. If it's negative, we're going to get a deficiency, and then you can filter, deficiency greater than 0 to only get those items that are less than, that you don't have in stock to fulfill the orders. So you don't have the stock to fulfill the orders, and what's on order is not enough. So it's a really good type of purchasing report, the deficiency. There's also kind of pro forma available, which is an interesting one as well. It basically will get you the available once including if you already have what's on order. Okay, let's take a look at that. And so the pro forma available is if we deduct, if we add the available minus required plus on order, will get us what's called the pro forma. And you can see here kind of the contrast here, the deficiency, we have less than we anticipate here. So we have more required than we have available or on order. and so that value is 57. Deficiency is a positive. Obviously, net performer would be negative. Now let's go back again to our customized report and take a look at some of the columns that are on the velocity report. So the velocity report is pretty simple. It accumulates usage. So I use the word usage because it's not only sales from ship docks. Okay, so part of the velocity comes from net shipments. So that would be ship dock items minus whatever customer return items. Okay, so net shipments get me the first part of the velocity. The second part of the velocity is net work orders. So you may not do disassemblies, but a net work order basically is whatever is consumed or generate from a work order or generated from a disassembly. That's net usage. So combining the shipments of product, the shipment of on the sales orders. So if we go to kind of the our dashboard here, so part of it is net sales, obviously not by customer, but it would be by item. Okay, so that's the first part of it. And then the other part of that is the components used. So really these two reports, we kind of sum them together, and then we provide you with kind of the most common intervals, right? So you have last week, so that's 1 week. You have 4 weeks, and it's always from the date you run the report. 13 weeks, so that's a quarter, and then half a year, 26 weeks. So you have kind of the most important parts, and of course you can include as many of those into one report as you would like as well. Right. The filter that I have here is just show me the ones that the 26 weeks are greater than 0, that I actually have usage. So that's obviously, if you wanted, one of the ways to see if you have usage on any one of your items is to do a filter on one of the velocity reports. Okay. Now in this report, I happen to have a grouping based on location. So what I'm going to do now is, a lot of people have asked, well, how do I group my reports in different ways? So I'm going to revisit that a little bit. So again, I just go to the customize reports here, and I need a column. So right now, you know, this is a grouping. The locations is a grouping. So I'm going to add another one, and I'm going to go to my items. All right, and I'm actually going to add another table here. Let's add another table, and I want to add my item group. All right, my item group is connected to each item. Each item always has an item group. So I'm going to go ahead and add the name of the item, the name of the group. All right, so there it is. Right, and then I'm going to add a caption, a custom caption, because in the database the word name is a common database field name. So for example, location, name and number. So I can even put here a custom. All right, now the item group, I want it to be a section. If I click this, it automatically will hop the item group on top of here, and now I have another section. Okay. All right. So here are my sections, and let's say we wanted to sum some of these columns in the sections. So a lot of people would like to sum those. Let's say I wanted to sum both the last 26 weeks and the 13 weeks. Again, customize. I'll go to columns, and I would find the column. So here is the column, and here I can put in, you know, last month, because that's what that is. But here is the summary functions. You can see that I have an average. That might be interesting. I have a count and I have a sum. So I'm going to use sum. All right, and we're going to go ahead and view. I'm just going to do that in a second. All right, so now we've summed that. So that's a nice report to have. And of course, we can export this report. We can print the report, and we can save this report as another report. Now, you may also be asking, well, I have a lot of locations. How do I take your report and really report all with the velocity, not by location, but for all my locations at the same time? How do I do that? That's a good question. Okay, so really, it more or less is a similar type of report. I'm going to customize this, but instead, one of the things that I do not need is the location, right? If I do not want to if I want to aggregate all my locations into one, then I do not need this location thing, all right? I do not need that location. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from a tabular to a summary, okay? Because I want to summarize all the locations, probably by item, all right? And then now that that's summarized, all of these quantitative fields, so this is going to summarize by the item name and by the item description, and that's the same for all the locations. But these quantitative, they all have to be summed like so. Okay. So I'm summing, sum, and sum, all right, and then bingo bango. There we go. So now we've summarized all those values into one and you can see there are no longer a designate by location at all. And then let's say I want to sort it, and let's go ahead and sort that by our name field. All right. Okay, and there is a nicely sorted report. Again, I'm going to go ahead and add that group. All right. Pick the group. I want to create a kind of a subsection. So I'm going to create the group is going to be a section, and again I'm going to call this a group. All right. And let's say I wanted to add another thing from the group, and let's say for whatever reason I wanted to add an account. All right, so this account is going to be showing the item groups. Let's say I wanted to join it and show the income account. Okay, and so now I'm going to add the income account. I'll move it up. All right. Now let's view that. Okay, so you can see the income account there. But I want it to show up not every row. I want it to show up along here in the section. So again, I go ahead and customize my report. And what I'm going to do here is the account. I'm going to make it part of the item group section. Okay. Now that I do that, it moves from a column over here as part of the section. There it is. Okay. So again, customize that. The word name is used all over the place, so I'm just going to change that to the word account and view. All right, and there we go. There is our group reports by item with the velocity for the last 26 weeks, and then categorized by each group separately. All right. So that's one way of doing that. We're going to go ahead. Okay, so one of the questions was, we have a question regarding the different bin numbers within a location. And that's a separate report. That's not the inventory status report. That would be, you would go to reports, and your report source would be the inventory itself. Okay, so there's a couple of report sources. We have inventory movement with bins, inventory movement with location, and inventory. So the inventory is really kind of what you would see on the inventory list. So you would so here you have, again, the inventory, and then you would add location first. Oh, sorry, you would add the bin. So you add items, you'd add bins, lot numbers if you want, location, whatever else you want here. Now with the bin, one of the important things here is that it's joined to the inventory. So now I can have a report with all that information, all the information from here, from that with the bins. Okay. So for example, I would pick, let's say, the location, and let's go ahead and add that word. I'll make it into a section. We'll add the bin. Okay. We'll add the item. So here I'm going to select name or number, and I'm going to give it a custom caption. Okay. I'm going to make the location a section. Move and so let's grab also the description from the item, give it a little bit more context there. So now let's grab some information from the lot number itself, from the location itself, or from the inventory. So here we have available, on hand, production. Let's put on hand, and let's also put on the lot number. Okay, do it like that. And if the lot number has if it has a lotted item, let's also put the expiration date as well. Okay, we can actually do a filter on this expiration date. All right. So there we go. So there's California, the bin, the item, the lot number, and if the item has an expiration, it would be that. Okay. And then you can, of course, go save as, and then you have, your report that you want. Yeah. Any questions on that? Michael, are there any other questions, any other topics we want to hit?
If you want to do inventory valuation, you could do like a quick run by of that, but
Sure. Okay. So that's another report type. Again, when I start a new report, I have a lot of different report, and actually that one I can create that really on two different types. I can do the inventory movement by location with location, and that's really the one that we use. That's the canned one that we provide, or I can do it by bin if I really want to do a valuation, not by locations, but get down to the bin. So I can do inventory valuation right down to the bin. Why don't we do that? But before I do that, I'm going to show you kind of the existing one that we have, and just show you what type of report it is. Because the type of report it is, it's a summary report, right? And all we're doing here is we're quickly adding up every transaction that you had up to today. The only filters that we do are, the quantity, make sure it's a part or an assembly, because those are the only things that the inventory is not zero, and that it's posted, meaning that it's posted as far as we're concerned as a posting transaction. And a lot of people have asked, well, how do I get it up to, let's say I don't want everything up to today, we're at November 13th, and so you can take a look at that. All these two, again, because it's a summary report, we're summarizing by location, by item, by description, and then these two we're summing up. Just like every summary report, if you have a quantitative field and you're not summing, you're making a mistake. All right, so in terms of the location, in terms of the as of date, let's say I just want to get up to a certain date. Let's say I would drag the posting date, okay, and I want to select a custom. All right, and the way to do an as of date is to do a custom, to leave the first block blank, and then select the second block. So let's say again I wanted to do up to October 31st only, and so that will summarize the report up to October 31st. Okay, in other words, summarize the data with a posting date less than or equal to October 31st. You might be wondering, what is the difference between a posting date and the date? That's also a very good question. So I'll give an example of a ship doc, and there are ways of controlling this as well. You create a ship doc, right? And the ship doc sits there for a week, right? The date of the ship doc, so let's say we created a ship doc, November 4th, and we're processing it, we picked it, and that's the date of the ship doc. But then on November 8th, we said, okay, this is shipped, and a sale happens. Okay, the date of the ship doc is November 4th. The posting date is November 8th. Until such time as the ship doc is marked as shipped, it's not posted. So that's why we have this filter. All right, we have this filter is posted, because we only want those transactions that are posted. You might be asking also, why, if I create a ship doc, is it not posted the minute I create it? Good question again. So that is a conceptual thing that comes from the accounting of revenue recognition. When do you recognize the fact that you recognize that revenue? And in most cases is when you ship the product out the door, that's when you recognize that revenue, and therefore we wait until such time as you mark that, you change the status to shipped, that we say that is now posted. Okay. So if I remove, so we'll see this, has some value entries. If I remove that filter, they'll have different values. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to send us a note at support@ordertime.com. That's support@ordertime.com, or just go to the home screen and click the little support button. Comes straight to us. Alrighty. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.